Wow, 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 bow. Dun, 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 bow, bow, bow. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
As always, guys, I'm Elwirfy, and today we're going to be playing some absolutely wonderful uh, StarCraft 2. Well, we're not playing, I should say. Um, I should say. Um, where? Oh, is my volume quiet? Hold on. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Is my headphones just low volume? Let me turn it up a bit. Is that better? Okay, I think that sounds good. So we're just gonna go with it. All right. What are we doing today? Well, we're gonna be taking a look at some games. The way this is gonna be structured is I'm gonna be streaming a whole bunch of games that I really like that I think are really good for just showing off, talking about explanations, all that good stuff. And I wanted to go ahead and make sure that you know you guys are aware that I'm going to be playing multiple games in one session. But when I break it down in YouTube videos, everything will be its own unique game. So that's super cool. Everyone gets a lot of cool new videos coming out. But the full stream will be uploaded at the end of this session of recording videos, so that way people can watch the whole stream later on if you so choose. Now, what are we doing today? Well, I found a new build that I've been loving, and I've been progressing a lot through the ranks, and I already should have uploaded by the time you're seeing this full stream. I didn't cut it, break it into episodes because I wanted to catch you guys up on my career path through StarCraft 2. Now, in order to make sure that uh, you guys got the most amount of content possible, that's why we're doing another stream, so that way everyone can be like, "Hey, what's up? We're doing another stream. We're in a sweatshirt because it's cold." And we'll hop right into it. So this is me, Elwirfy. We're gonna be watching a number of games of mine, just going over the same build for the most part. There's a little bit of weirdness going on. Talk about variety, and I want to give a super big shout out, super big credit to the person who made this build because it's not mine. I didn't make it up. I got it from the spawning pool, and that's because I've been watching this guy on YouTube called Hushang Tutorials, and I really think he does a good job teaching people how to play StarCraft. He's a GM. He's great. Definitely check him out. Definitely deserves more love than he probably gets. Um, and I figured I'd try out his build. And you know what? As someone speaking from the silver into gold. Now I'm a gold player on the ladder. I have to say this build right here that we're going to show off is pretty much the best build that I've been able to use to get consistent wins in game. Again, there's variety. There's stuff that happens when you deal with different matchups, but this is the most overall general kind of game that I like to show off. As well as, again, I know, sorry, we're delaying the game a bit. This build was designed for Terran versus Protoss, but this has worked against all races, actually, and I think it's great. And without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the game. And we're going to be following my camera first. And yes, we are going to be white, that's the Elwirfy color. Going to go ahead and pop open that production tab, and we'll see what we're doing. So, build order wise, we're going to go ahead and get our our supply depot down. And this is my first attempt at the build, so this is the sloppiest game that we're going to be looking at. But I think there's some merit in looking at where it starts off and how you get better and better at a build as time goes on, and you get faster. You end up doing a better job. So anyway, we have a Zerg player we're going to be playing against. Actually, yeah, let's check it out. We got this guy. His name is Seems, and actually, I'm gonna turn off my unit colors. Actually, I thought about it because it might get confusing if we switch between different people's vision later on in the game. Uh, so I'm just gonna leave it as normal colors. Actually, I was gonna do it where we're the white Terran all the time, but I think it'll be easier for demonstration purposes if you guys just see um, it as the red and blue colors of a traditional game. So we get a supply depot down on 15, um, and then we're gonna go ahead and as soon as that finishes, oh, why did I lose my camera? I wanna be following my camera. Um, we're gonna be getting a barracks and a gas. Get the barracks first, by the way. That matters, although they should technically go down at the same time. And then we're gonna build 3 SCVs on top of that. Should bring us up to 19 supply. All right. So the barracks and the refinery come down at 16, and then we build SCVs up to 18 until we get to 19 supply. And immediately you want to be filling up the gas with 3 SCVs. You don't want to stagger it or anything. You want to fill it up right away. And eventually the barracks will be built. And we'll go ahead and be queuing up rallying our SCV that's building the barracks to go make a command center down on the low ground. And I did mess this build order up because technically, I believe you're supposed to get the orbital command first. Yep. So orbital command is supposed to come before that, and a marine should have already been started. So I messed up the order. That's my bad. It happens. The main thing it'll delay is a bit of your economy. It's not going to be quite as smooth. So just point that out. You're supposed to do marine, orbital command, then the command center. You're still getting the same stuff, but it's the timing that matters. Then supply depot down on 20 as well. Immediately
that command center upgrade you ordered is here.
Oh, you know what? I was going to do this with sound, but I don't want the announcer to be talking over me. So we're going to play it muted, I think, unless we can go into the options, go to sound. What if we do sound, but we only have interface sounds and ambient sounds? Yeah, but we'll get rid of sound effects. I think that's the voice volume. Response sounds. Maybe we'll keep those response sounds and get rid of the other voices. Yeah. Maybe we'll try that actually. Keep the sound effects on. I think that's okay. I just don't want the announcer to be bothering us because it's very distracting for me when I'm trying to talk about a build. Worst comes to worst, I will mute it though. Anyway, so after you're done building the SCV, the supply depot, you're gonna start a factory, and then you're gonna go make a bunker, which is super handy. Now I've refined this build a little bit to be a little smoother now. Now I build the supply depot on the low ground actually, so that way that SCV can immediately make the bunker a bit faster, which we'll see in later games. And then you're going to want to order both of those SCVs that are building down there to go rally to the minerals. And then we'll getting an orbital command directly after it finishes, and immediately be making marines, by the way, once your reactor finishes on your barracks. And then we'll go ahead and be getting our second gas, or that should have been got, again, it's a bit of a complicated build order, there's a lot to go through. But essentially you're going to get your starport and your factory's tech lab at the same time. Obviously, you're going to want to keep calling in mules, and the build order itself doesn't actually specify how many SCVs to build at a time, because, I don't know, it just doesn't say, or at least when it does, it stops saying it after a while, and I'm pretty sure you're supposed to saturate the command center, and the build just straight up just doesn't list when you build SCVs, which is a bit annoying if you are following it. So just make sure you're building SCVs on top of it, because otherwise you'll be floating money. Then you're going to build a Viking right after you make the starport. Make a tank as soon as you can after the tech lab is done. See, look how you can, we get attacked right here, but because we have that bunker, because we made a lot of marines in the beginning, we're holding off this little scouting attack, and with no losses, for the record. We didn't lose anything in that. We just got some free Zergling kills. And I was like, great. And they attacked seemingly, you know, right before the tank timing. But I can promise you that I was just slow. We should have already had our tank up, actually, as well, I think. And then the Viking launches, because it's good for shooting down overlords. It's also good for, you know, just attacking if they have, getting rid of an overseer, specifically. In case they try and put creep everywhere to make it hard for us to build buildings. You know. Anyway, so you're going to go ahead and add on 2 barracks. After you're done making the Viking, you're also going to be adding on a tech lab. So that way, things just, because then what you're going to do is after the second tank pops out, because you have enough time to make a second tank, you go ahead and fly over, and as you can see, you're going to be adding on another tech lab on the factory, and you're going to add a reactor onto the starport that we can make, you're going to be making medevacs 2 at a time. We're still going to be making tanks, but we want to get our upgrades started early, so that's why you want to go ahead and lift up the factory and replace it with another tech lab, so that way the barracks can go ahead and immediately start landing. And again, I'm a bit slow at this. I get better at it as time goes on. But yeah, it's my first time doing the build. So as you can see, we have 2 tanks. You know, we have a good defense. We're getting our reactors or refineries on our expansion already, which is super good to do, of course. And then the part that I struggle, like for me as a player, I struggle the most with whenever I see that we're about to get our 3rd, because it's a bit hard for me to manage the bases. I haven't quite devised the system yet of how I want to manage the bases easier, because I'm not very good with my hotkeys, because sometimes I'll accidentally jump and look at the base when I just want to build SCVs from it. So that's something I am struggling with, and I'm sure I'll get better at it as I keep playing. Anyway, keep building tanks. You know, keep up production always. You should always be producing Marines, tanks, and medevacs. That's the goal. Obviously, we have limited gas. Obviously, and we're starting up stim and combat shield. That's important. We're not getting marauders in this build, or at least you don't. They're not the most essential thing, so you don't need to spend the money on the concussive shells upgrade. It's a bit unnecessary at the moment. Go ahead and make sure you have that tank siege. Yeah. And then once our medevacs pop out, that's when we'll be attacking. Now in this game, I actually got supply blocked. A bit sad, but fortunately I was kind of already building the supply depot. Yeah. And then see how it immediately jumps up to 77 supply. We're always like, yeah, you want to be making lots of supply depots, possibly even 2 at a time, like I did here. Might have been a bit of an overreaction, but honestly, with the amount of production we're going to be getting, it's pretty important. And I was even frustrated a bit. I was like, oh god, we're still supply blocked a bit. We're not going to have the right amount of medevacs, and the timing's going to be all bad. I was thinking, oh my god, terrible. But at least I was getting my 3rd. Again, I'm not the best at managing 3 bases yet, which I think is also a pretty bad skill, because you should be able to get all your bases. So anyway, we go out for attack. I decide, you know what, 1 medevac's good enough, and we're just going to be kind of following it along. And this is actually where the build order ends as well. I need to point that out, that I have information of. There's no like next steps of if there's any additional production buildings going on or anything like that. So just keep that in mind. Anyway, so I go here, and I thought about it like, okay, with this composition, realistically, what's a good way to assault a base? And I was like, well, we're fighting Zerg. May as well go after a 3rd base, because Zergs always have 3rd base. And we happen to get, you know, because of the map design, this is the natural Zerg 3rd base. I go ahead and siege up. I see the banelings. I try and target them, but honestly, it doesn't work out. We still end up losing some tanks, but you know what? It's okay, because we brought 4 tanks. That's why you want to attack with a lot of tanks. Sometimes it happens. I'm not the best at fighting Zerg, to be honest. So that gets held off. I did see that he had some units that escaped. And at this point, my money shoots to the sky because I'm too busy, you know, microing and stuff to bother with macro. Macro doesn't matter anymore. But I do eventually, I just start queuing up stuff. So I'm like, well, we may as well get something done, you know? Have some more units on the way. Oh, and then I see it's too much, so I immediately just kind of back up. Accidentally made a marauder as well. But that tank got stuck on as we were running away. Sucks. He probably could have kept chasing. I was a bit surprised he didn't. I think that was just him being a bad player, perhaps. Not realizing he could kill it. So then I go ahead and regroup over here. And I go ahead and get ready to try and make an attack. And when I saw the creep, I was thinking, oh god, does he have a 4th base? I was thinking, oh my god, that could be terrible, right? So I go ahead and siege up over here, get ready, and then I start pushing out with my Marines. And I come over to check, and nope, there's no 4th base there, so we're just dealing with a 3-base Zerg, so all good. I have my medevacs, and I think of a brilliant idea. I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and get out of the line of sight of the creep, and I see more creep, and I get out of there. Now remember, at this point, like build order wise, build order is pretty much again, like I said, build order is done. And then I'm like, well, I may as well go for a drop. And then I fly on over, bringing my Viking with me for extra security. The Marauder's just gonna kind of wander. Marauders are not the most useful thing. And then I just go ahead and send these guys over, and we're gonna be doing a drop. And also the Viking's good for killing overlords as well. In case they see your drop coming, at least you can get something out of it. So then I go ahead and I zoom in and I start unloading. Now I didn't siege my tank up right away. I couldn't click on it because of the medevac position. But I end up stimming, and the tank does help out, obviously, with kind of cutting through this. A lot of, you know, a lot of medevacs as well, but it works out okay. And eventually I do siege up the tank. And then tactics-wise, people kind of come in here and clean it up. I'm waiting for him to leave, because he doesn't leave the game yet. But overall, that's kind of the build, and that's kind of the build I want to show off, and I think it's pretty successful. Typically, you kind of just win in one attack, but, you you know, this was kind of like my sloppy first attempt, and I remember doing this and I was thinking, wow, this is pretty good. Now, keep in mind, this actually, let me see. Well, let's end the replay. Go ahead and get out of there. We're going to be watching a lot of games today, a lot of games. But I was climbing the ladder as well. I was working really hard on doing that. And we had just entered gold, right? So this is me in gold. And then this is a good good replay to show off. We're going to go ahead and be playing against a silver. Yeah, I mean, I'm in gold at this point. And we'll go ahead and see what happens when we fight a Protoss against this build, right? Keep the production tab open, and then we're trying to get things smooth, trying to keep things smooth, and that's just kind of how it goes. So again, we're going to go ahead and about it when you hit 70 minerals, just for the record. That's when you want to go ahead and make that first supply depot. We send it out, and we're still making SCVs, of course, up to 15. I have the 16th queued up, but because we made the supply depot first, it should be done by the time we get that done, which is always nice to see. Yep, we almost have enough money for the barracks as well. And I go ahead and queue that up. And for the record, I am using hotkeys here. It took me a little while to get my hotkeys back to where I want them, but right now it all works quite nicely. We get our refinery at the same time. Still making SCVs. You don't want to stop. I want to try and avoid getting supply blocked this game. It's a big goal when you're playing this build, is to not get supply blocked, because again, the build order kind of stops when you get around 70 supplies, so then it's like, oh, when should you build your depots? How many workers should you have? What's the main strat? So it gets a bit confusing. But yeah, you want to fill the gas right away, making the barracks, then you're going to rally the SCV making the barracks to make the command center, so we're going for a fast expansion, or at least I'd argue it counts as a fast expansion, because as you can see, we have 400 minerals, and instead I do it correctly. I queue up a Marine, I drop the command center, so it's a little worse, because I should have got the orbital command first, but it's okay. It all works out, but, you know, sloppiness-wise, that's not quite what we want to do. And as you can see, we dropped down the reactor right away. I was already on top of that. Again, the spawning pool build order guide is a really helpful tool for players. And now at this point, I still haven't started building the supply depot on the low ground yet. That's something I developed later on my own, because I realized it's quite handy to do. But of course, when the orbital finishes, we're going to go ahead and be getting, you know, we're going to be getting our mule. And we're still building SCVs, of course. And then I was about to build my factory in the wrong spot, so I move it. You want to make sure you have enough room for that tech lab, otherwise it's not good. Queue up the Marines when the reactor finishes. Waiting on some stuff. And I want to point out, I don't have high APM in this. That is something good to note. Isn't there should be an APM counter. I want to point that out real quick. M for APM. My current APM, it's about at, you know, around the 40s. It's my average is 33. Sometimes I can have high APM. You know, sometimes I do a good job with that, but realistically, you don't need it. I can execute the build just fine without freaking my fingers out. You know, I don't want to hurt myself. It's just a game after all. Eventually I have 0 APM because there's nothing to do. And then, okay, so again, we're getting the tech lab and starting the starport. You should have enough resources to do both at the same time, but I prioritized the starport actually, looking back, if that was, you know, with regards to what's more important. Because the starport, the sooner you get the starport up, the sooner you can start making your medevacs. You should have 5 Marines. The build makes it a bit odd, so you kind of have like this one extra Marine, but you need it for defense against like an early rush or something, if they try and send a single zealot at you. So this is an anti-Protoss build, so you get to see it now finally working, using it against Protoss, what it's kind of meant to be doing. And we're going to go ahead and work on making our expansion up and running. Obviously, we still got the orbital command on the command center right away. We're fully saturated, so actually, this is something I learned from watching the build order guide. You actually just want to be rallying SCVs from your main to the naturals. That way you get more SCVs over there, once you're fully saturated, of course. And then you want to pull pull some SCVs, and you want to start making barracks. and I had a little bit of a mineral problem, so I didn't quite have that ready. I'm going to go ahead and fly that over. And I believe I go ahead and start making my hotkeys, which is super handy. I'm going to go ahead and make, so I make the barracks 1, factory 2, starport 3, and I go ahead and make the factory make another tech lab, put a reactor on starport. I've gotten a bit better about my building placement so they don't have to travel quite as far as well. That's something also that you might have trouble moving with, but just so you know, a regular Terran production structure is about a 3x3 grid, and the add-on is about a 2x2 grid. So when you're planning things out, you can just put the very bottom of the factory, or actually I should say, you can put the very top of the factory, your starport, right beneath where the line of squares where your add-on is. That could be really handy. And again, you go ahead and start making Marines. We're just making Marines. We made the switch for the tech upgrades, but I'm not sure. Do I remember to get my tech upgrades? I think so. I was following the build order pretty closely because, again, we're not really being interrupted very much, you know. We're able to kind of do our thing. It's even on the same map as the last game we just saw, which is kind of nice, so you get to see it again. And in this case, we're adding on our 3rd command center, as always. And I will note, in the actual build order, it does say you're supposed to have a engineering bay, and I've kind of messed that up in not getting the engineering bay, because it is important, and it's something you want to try not to forget. So there's a zealot, and I even sieged up on the on this ramp here, which is kind of unnecessary. And anyway, we got our 2 medevacs, start building 2 more. I'm trying to get everything queued up so that way we can kind of ignore everything. And at this point, I'm not sure if I've realized... Oh yeah, I'm making a supply depot. We're trying not to get supply blocked as best as we can. And then we're going to go ahead and add on 2 more barracks. That's another part of the build that I kind of wasn't doing. It's kind of like our next step. So we add on 2 more production structures because we're also about to get our 3rd command center. And again, you're still constantly making troops, tanks, Marines, medevacs. Unload the men from the bunkers so that way you have additional Marines in your push. You can't really attack without having a ton of Marines. And the build does technically call for 2 Marauders, but you don't need them. I've learned that you don't really need the Marauders because you're not really getting the Marauder upgrade. I mean, I don't even think these Marines, to be frank, I don't... Yeah, the Marines don't actually have any upgrades, I want to point out. But I go for the same idea as what worked in the Zerg game because I'm like, oh, that worked out pretty well. Let's just do it again. And at this point now, you'll notice actually I have 4 medevacs, which is super handy. And I'm hitting F2 to keep bringing my army to me, but I don't want the army rallying over here because I don't want them to get caught out in case there's a counterattack. So that's super important. And you'll notice I'm trying my best to queue up buildings at home. I am still building things at home, even though I'm not looking at the screen, because I'm doing a good job of using my hotkeys. And I think I realized my money's getting a bit high. Oh no, I'm loading up the dropships. I go ahead and decide tanks are more valuable. And then we go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do a drop in the opponent's base. Now I did see that cannon, so I boost and try and take that cannon out quickly because I don't want to lose my stuff. And I go ahead and siege up in his base. And then this army can kind of circle around the front. Now what I should have done is come over the mineral line and sieged up. That could have also been good. I ended up killing his army pretty quick. He didn't have a lot of stuff. And I go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and start ferrying over my extra troops. Super handy. This is a mistake. I unsieged all my tanks at once, but considering how little troops are coming, that pretty much does it. That is the end of the game. We end up getting all his units. If you look at the everyone cam, you can see he had his second base. It was good. He had a good wall off and stuff, but being able to drop into the back and just kind of wreck him, that's kind of the main idea behind this, I think, that we want to be seen, and having constant production back home. Okay, so we'll go ahead and jump straight into the next game. Really liking how it's going so far. We have another Zerg player we're going to be going against. Again, still fighting like silver players, which I think is a bit odd. You'd think we wouldn't be, but we are, for some reason. So we're on a new map, thank goodness. Get to have some variety for once. And at this point, the build order was still a bit sloppy. I think I was still making a good amount of mistakes. But it gets ironed out over time, which is nice. And in this game, I don't even quite remember what happens in all the games. But if I had paid attention to my title, I think I would have found out what happens in this game in particular that makes it so special. Because obviously the games are different. There's the starter one we saw where I'm first trying the build, and then we saw kind of a good practice against Protoss. That's kind of why I labeled it that way. So that way you guys can see just how good it is to be standard. Now I believe eventually we should be getting to the games where we have a bit of a hiccup, where everything looks like it's not going so well, because guess what? The enemy can do stuff too. So you gotta know how to maneuver your build in such a way so that way you can hold off early aggression and still be able to do the kind of attacks that you want to do. You know, it's tough. You got to be really careful. So again, same build order. I'm not necessarily going to explain it every single time. I hope I've explained it enough in the previous videos if you're watching this in parts, or earlier in the stream if you've been there. But one more time we'll go over it. You make a supply depot at about 15 work. Oh god, paperwork is falling off of my table. Oh crap. You make the supply depot first, then you're going to do barracks into reactor at the same time on 16 supply. Then, when that barracks finishes, you start a marine and you start the orbital command. Look, I did it right this time. I figured it out. So that's how you know you're improving. And then you're going to make your command center. It's okay if the command center is a bit delayed, because in all realisticness, you're going to get more money out of just having the orbital command to make those mules a bit faster. And then, obviously, you're going to fully saturate your gas when you first build the first refinery. And then you're going to go ahead and make a reactor, which in this map happens to complete the wall off, which is nice. And then at this point, I realized, yes, this is another good thing I did that I started doing. Because my wall off was done on top, I was like, well, why don't we just start up the wall off on the bottom? And I made the supply depot on the low ground, which is excellent, because that way you can get your bunker faster. So that way you don't have the travel time issue. And again, we're going to go ahead and make a factory. Of course, as soon as you can. After you make that supply depot, you're also making 2 extra SCVs. The build order does say when to make SCVs at this point in the game. But it's kind of after your second command center when the build just stops mentioning SCVs, which is a bit annoying, because I would like to know what to do. And then we add on our second refinery about roughly halfway when the factory's done, I'd say. But it really just comes after the bunker. And at this point, you'll see, you know, we started. It takes like a long time to make a command center. That's why it is kind of good to get the command center started early, so that way we can have that ready to go. And we'll go ahead and shoot down that Overlord, because it's trying to scout us. I don't know why it didn't necessarily come into the main base. Oh, are we gonna get it? Are we gonna get it? Oh, we got it. Boom. I'll take a moment here to pause. Note that I delayed my starport a little bit, because one, I didn't have the gas. 2, he didn't get to see it. So on his vision, what can he see? He can see the front, and he sees that I'm going over there somewhere. I think he sees my click, and obviously you can see that it's morphing into an orbital command because you can see the orange pieces. And over here at this point, for the record, he's waiting on his expansion. He took a delayed expansion, I believe. Or he's just not very good. I'm not sure, but his expansion should be about to be... Oh, it's about to be finished. Okay, never mind that. Follow camera. Okay. So anyway, we load up our Marines into the bunker, which is super duper handy. Obviously, we have the orbital command being morphed in right now. And you want to be using your mules. I start using my mules on the expansion as well, just so we can suck out the money and we don't overmine the main base. Because as you can see, there's some mineral patches that are already kind of going away, which is a bit concerning. And we're still making constant Marines. We're making a tank. We want to do everything smoothly. That's the goal, right? That's how you know you're doing the build order good, is when you're doing everything crisp and clean. And for the record, what I should be doing is taking that SCV that's on the starport and queue it up to do something, maybe build a depot. That's something I need to improve on as well. And we have the tank coming out. That first tank is super important. And we're going to go ahead and be adding on our double barracks again, so that way we can have our full kind of production. Now, I didn't siege my tank until a bit later, so that's a bit bad. And I do need to point that out. So we end up losing a lot of stuff. I even like to kind of kill my Marines, which is super bad. And I do unsiege the tank as soon as I can. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, well crap. This is my first time I've had my build order interrupted. So I'm trying to decide what to do. I'm thinking, okay, we'll just do the we'll just land the Viking, and that was a good choice. I'm gonna go ahead and repair that siege tank. We really need that siege tank now. But as you can see, the bunker did help hold off a big ling attack, which is good. That is kind of the point of the bunker, is that, you know what, stuff happens. And you gotta be ready for it. I'm even gonna redo the bunker. Probably didn't need to redo the bunker, but I figured if he's gonna do a run by again, I need to be ready. And this part is super sloppy right here. I'm gonna go ahead and very slowly select everything. And then as soon as that tank pops, we're gonna be swapping the factory over. Yeah. So there's more Ling run-bys, which is not good. And as you can see, me building the supply depots up high instead of for the wall was a bit bad. That was also a bad choice. I should really be building supply depots on the wall. And anyway, I go ahead and I realize I'm floating like a bunch of minerals. I'm like, okay, I probably need to start making stuff. Oh. I don't think I even cared about this attack that much. Blew up my own siege tank. Yeah, this was a bad game. Even blew up my mule. But hell, I got Marines in the bunker now. And yeah, at this point now I've decided, okay, we should probably be making a supply depot wall, because that's kind of necessary. Fortunately, my production structures are perfectly fine, so I can just, you know, build stuff without much worry. Obviously, we're queuing up a lot. Queuing's bad, for the record. We could have probably gotten our third expansion sooner, but you know, I didn't. And I was trying to still follow the build order as much as I could. I was like, okay, so next we do the, you know, the gas. And I quickly just made a bunch of supply depots just to fill in the wall. It turned out to be great for helping out my supply blocking issue, but we also do go ahead and get 2 reactors on those barracks. I don't think I mentioned that earlier. The barracks should have reactors on them, because that'll let us really crank out Marines. Because again, we're not making Marauders, so who cares? And at this point, you'll notice I don't actually believe I have any upgrades again for the infantry, which is super bad, because that's kind of the reason we have tech labs on there. If we wanted reactors, we could just make reactors, and then we would be able to get everything done. And as you can see, I have a lot of minerals. Like, I'm floating a ton of money. And that's why you have a wall, for the record. At this point, I didn't even really want to push out. I was thinking, okay, we're already past the time when we normally push out. So I was like, okay, we're just going to be delayed and everything. And I started my upgrades, finally. I finally start them. This is the latest you should ever be starting the upgrades. You know, the upgrades should be done by this point, to be honest. They should be ready to go. But oh well, it happens. Plus, my Marine count wasn't high anymore, so not much I could do. And I'm expecting more attacks. I'm thinking, okay, how long are we going to weather this storm? You know, I'm not over-muling or anything, making sure we have a steady flow of money. And, you know, making the command center. I go ahead and make all the barracks on one queue, and then I think I just spammed the Marine button a bunch. Oh, I tried to be even about it. And I did just kind of spend all my money, which is fine. Better than nothing. And then at this point, yeah, we're going to go ahead and make an attack. Lower the stuff. Gonna go ahead and de-siege the tanks and push out. I'm expecting there to be like a pile of roaches there, because I saw those roaches, but they're just not there, and I was kind of surprised. I think I was thinking, yeah, this doesn't make much sense. So then I head on out, and I leave the supply depots down because I want to be able to rally in my new troops. And I'm making 8 Marines at a time, which is great. That's a really good amount of Marines to make at once. And, you know, we're just kind of pushing through with these weird speed-up lanes. And I saw that Overseer, and it saw me, and tried to get it. But it didn't work out. And I was thinking, doesn't matter. It's time for an attack. And actually go up around here, because I'm thinking I want to get his third, though. But there was no third here. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, oh, God, there's no third. And I even pre-sieged up, but it didn't matter. That's not the right thing to do. But I think at this point I'm also thinking, well, why don't we just drop again? Because, you know, it worked last time, right? So go ahead and stim. Obviously, we want to make sure we get him, and we kind of just wrecked his whole army right there. Taking out the spine crawler. I think we lose the medevac. Oh no, we don't. We were able to not lose the medevac, which is good. He was actually planning on nidusing me, and I realized this, and I was like, oh god, because I saw the overlord that was already in position to do something. Go ahead and stop on the ramp. Ramp is a great place to defend if you're attacking. I noticed there's a third base over there, and I was actually thinking, crap, I totally missed out on a third base that I could have attacked, but it worked out in the end. We had a delayed attack, but you know what? We still kind of got through the whole thing, right? It turned out okay. We were able to stop them. I mean, you'll notice, I mean, was it sloppy? Yes. I mean, the tanks were left behind. There's a big pile here that was ready to go that I wasn't moving in, which I think I left there, though, because I was waiting for a Nidus to pop up, because then I could have enough time to move up. So we wouldn't cancel it necessarily, and I can catch some units. But overall, still worked out pretty well. The build is coming along. Again, we're trying to do this build to make it a little bit better. And then this one was a weird game. I want to show it off. This is a game we're going to lose. It's against a random, and I kind of want to show off the, like, even against a random, it can be okay. I made a big mistake in this one, and that's why I really want to show it off. I did a bad job, actually. Right. So anyway, we'll go ahead and go to the production tab. Or at least I think I was probably going to lose this game. And as the title suggests, it is going to be a bit of a connection error on his part, which you know, I'm not excited about. That's not a good way to win. It doesn't feel like you've earned anything, you know, especially when you're trying to make a good build and you're trying to do a good job, and then, you know, you realize you messed up. So I was like, oh, I made a mistake, and then it turns out, oh, you win anyway just because he had bad internet. That's a bit unfair, you know. That would never happen in a tournament. You know, it's not realistic. It's not good for practice. But I wanted to show off this build because I was like, oh, this is still, I think I'm executing it better, right? We're trying to learn. That's the whole point of this stuff, is that we're trying to learn, we're trying to grow, and we're trying to do a better job. And you can see in the production tab, I'm actually, like, getting a lot of production done. And he wasn't. I don't know if he was waiting for I think he was waiting for the expansion. And he's just droning. You know. Because Zerg can make so many more drones than Terran if they have enough expansions. And again, I'm not going to go over the build order every time, but essentially, you know, supply depot, barracks, refinery. Make SCVs until you finish your barracks, and then once the barracks finishes, we're going to make an orbital command and a, you know, a marine. Start that up. Gonna go ahead and wait for that barracks to lay down. I don't know if I messed up or something, but it feels like I shouldn't be waiting this long to make my expansion, but I did, and that's when it goes down. It just happens, I suppose. Maybe I'm switching the workers into gas too early, because if you notice, I actually do have a bit too much gas, but that gas ends up being helpful later anyway, because we want to make a factory as soon as we can as well. Anyway, we're going to make a supply depot in the usual spot on this map. I've seen this map a lot. This happens when you play ladder maps, and you know, I found that I'm okay at this map, actually. It seems to work out just fine. And then I go ahead and make a mistake. I believe that the factory will not have enough room for the tech lab. I think I made a mistake there. And then we're going to go ahead and make our bunker right around now, I believe. Yep. Going to go ahead and have that bunker on added on, so that way everything looks nice and dandy. Going to be making some marines, which is super great. Just, you know, we want to be making sure our production is quite nice. And I might start speeding through a little bit of these games in case this is a bit repetitive. I don't mean to be repetitive in what I'm showing you, because it's all the same build, to be honest. And again, it should be pretty straightforward what we're doing here. Just kind of the point of this video is also just to show off the, you know, how the progression has gone in ladder, so that way anyone can know. You know, anyone can do this. I mean, this is technically you know, a master level build, but I'm working on trying to get it done over in the lower leagues, and it seems to work out pretty well. I'm able to win a good amount of games with it, and I think overall the concept is solid. Again, this is also a Terran versus Protoss build, fair warning, so against Zerg, this is not what you're supposed to do. I am in no way prepared for something, for like an actual like Zerg rush or something. I mean, it kind of works out with the bunker, but a real Zerg rush would come before the bunker's done, which is a bit disappointing. Oh, and we're shooting the overlord because the bunker gives us a good amount of range. We got it right before it got to that weird pillar thing, so that's cool. Made him spend an extra bit of resources. And again, we're constantly building stuff, making the Viking, making the tank. Should also be making Marines as well, but I don't quite catch on to that, I think. I think I'm maybe waiting for an expansion. Not too sure why I'm waiting. Oh, right, the barracks. Making double barracks, so super important. Adding on extra tanks. I remember in the build order guide from the guy we got the build order from, he mentioned that we should be prioritizing our gas units over Marines because the gas units are stronger and ultimately they're more likely to help us win the game. Oh, okay. So this is the one where actually the add-on worked out okay. It's fine. No complaints there. We'll go ahead and get our tanks into position. And the build is actually going pretty smooth. We're getting our double barracks. We have our gas going down. Actually lay down the engineering bay again, because again, upgrades are good. Nothing wrong with getting upgrades. And at this point, I'm starting to kind of learn about that. I can kind of put my buildings a bit closer together. I don't need to make it all kind of bad. I mean, this is still a bit rickety, this style, or this design of my base. And again, at this point, I am still floating money a bit much, which is a bit bad. But, you know, I need to be able to make my upgrades. I am doing that, though. I'm getting my stim pack and my combat shield, which is good. Go ahead and add on another factory. I realize I'm about to be supply blocked again. In fact, I am supply blocked with regards to making that tank, which is super not good. We have a double refinery going down. Those need to be saturated, but I think I don't do that. And at this point, also in the game, this is something I need to work on improving. Because you do have the engineer bait, you should be getting missile turrets at this point against Zerg, because Mutalisk, Baneling, Zergling is pretty common, and should be expecting some flyers to come in at some point. And then at this point I'm thinking, okay, time to make an expansion. It's 400 minerals down the drain right there. Not down the drain, but you know, you need to spend it. And I am working on making more supply depots, because everything is supply blocked. It's super bad of me. He's getting to fly in and see all the tech, which is just awful. Oh yeah, there's a run by. He gets the building right away because he barely had any health. I should have canceled it, but with how much money I'm getting, I wasn't really that worried. Like, it happens. And, you know, I'm working on making my wall off, because that's super important. And we need the depots anyway. So I'm pretty sure I go ahead and just try and queue up a bunch of stuff. Oh yeah, and we're still doing the build order, so we're making double barracks. We lost our expansion, but we should be rebuilding it. That's what I should be doing, but I don't think I'm going to do that. And we still get our tanks and our medevacs, and I was getting ready. I was thinking, okay, we still need to make a push. He's just Zerglings. Should be okay. Got the 2 Marauders, because the build calls for Marauders. Again, that's probably because it's anti-Protoss. Against Zerg, you want Zergling, or you want Marines, because Marines fire faster, and they can actually deal significantly more damage than Marauders. But, yeah, you know, a couple of Marauders mixed in shouldn't hurt anything. Shouldn't, anyway. And at this point, I was getting ready to push out, because we're about at the right time where we need to be leaving. You know, I'm getting everything queued up. I end up just calling down supply, because I don't want to worry about the supply being an issue when I move out, because you want to have plenty of supply available in order to be building stuff back at home. You can see I'm making a ton of stuff compared to the Zerg. The Zerg is not really building a ton of things. And at this point, it's just economy. I can't support this, though, on 2 base, having 5 production structures of barracks, and then a total of 7. We also have the 1 starport, 1 factory. Like, this is actually not able to be supported, which is a bit of a shame. I'm gonna go ahead and I start pushing out. And you can see I'm keeping my money pretty low. I'm trying to make sure I spend everything. And I'm expecting Zerglings to be here, and there are, so I just handle it. Kill them all. Healing up. And I make that... I finally have that command center, so I'm going to go ahead and land it again. And since it's pre-built, now there shouldn't be an issue with Zergling run-bys quite as much. And I just kind of start pushing across the map. And I'm like, all right, let's go do what we always do. You know, because it's a good strategy. It works. You know, we get our stuff. And I go ahead and fly around, expecting to find a third base. And as we go, I do. I find the third base. I'm like, oh, that's great. There's no need to stim for the record. Oh, yeah, that was bad. Shot my own Marines. That's pretty much the worst thing I could have done. And I go ahead and... I was trying to get a sneaky siege tank position, I think, but in case we get attacked. But it doesn't happen, you know, we're... And I want to actually get the tanks inside of his base, too. And then at this point, something happens. I don't even notice the map. I'm just like... I realize, oh crap, there's mutalisks in my base. What do? I queue up Marines instantly. And then he disconnects. And it's a bit of a shame. The game plays out a little bit. I was kind of in shock. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it still kind of worked out, you know. It's a bit of a shame. Because he had a good amount of bases. I mean, granted, unit counting wise, though, if you look at it, he didn't have much to defend. Like, if this had played on, I would have probably, you know, if I remember right, did I not even bother making? I hadn't even gotten around it. I had one missile turret. I was gonna make missile turrets, I think, and I had Marines, and I was gonna get ready to defend, and that may or may not have gone well. But this probably would have cleaned it up if the mutalist didn't kill me. That's something to note. Build turrets in your base when you're fighting Zerg. It's a pretty common thing to be a problem, and it's really important. And we'll go ahead and jump into this game, and then I think that'll be about our halfway point where we're going to take a small break, I believe. Nothing crazy huge of a break, but just because I need a bit of water. Hope that's okay. Let's go ahead and watch this TVT. So, Terran versus Terran. This is a pretty good example of, like, Terran versus Terran is probably my worst matchup. I'll just say it straight up. I'm probably worse at that because... you know, I know the race so well that I don't really know how to fight it, kind of a thing, because it's a bit of a complicated endeavor. Same build, though. But we can just let that play out. In fact, I'll even speed it up a bit. I'm not going to make you guys sit through an entire game of me doing the exact same thing again every single time. Obviously, I know this is all going to be in separate videos, so maybe you want a slowed down version, but here, we'll bring it down a bit. I just want to get through that first little bit, because honestly, nothing's happening. I don't want to make you guys watch the same thing every time, even though we're already in the same build order, I think. Or at least he seems to be doing that. If you look at our structures, I have one more depot, but he's getting a command center. I'm gonna have an extra barracks, engineering bay. Oh wait, no, that's him. He's red. We have the same amount of SCVs, I think. I'm actually a bit delayed. I just have an orbital command. He's actually getting more stuff. He has one more depot than me, so he's actually playing better. Just want to point that out. He's able to... This guy's doing a crisper time than me. Oh yeah, and this was super annoying. Like, I'm not going to cancel the building, but I didn't quite get that done. I was like, crap, gotta go make my expansion. And I think the supply depot was stuck. Or no, he squeezed out. But it doesn't change what we're doing. Just going to be down an SCV now. But he's down an SCV too, so it's kind of like a fair trade. As you can see, I have a lot of money, and I was kind of waiting on getting my... I was still trying to follow the build order pretty religiously, so I didn't get my gas till after I made the factory, which is pretty stupid. I should have just made the reactor. It's fine. I have my one Marine, which is good, making 2 more. Gonna be throwing down that bunker. That little hole is pretty convenient. but obviously we'll keep that supply depot lowered during the time in which we need to get our tanks out anyway. And then, of course, we have our refinery. Refinery's now good to go, so gonna be getting our gas a bit faster now. I mean, if you look at the structures, he has 2 gas. I mean, I have the engineer. Or no, he has the engineering bay. Huh. It's almost as if he's trying to do the build that I used to do, which I should probably show off at some point. That's a pretty good. It's an okay build, but it needs some work. It's not really well timed or anything. I think there's better ways to do it too. And the build I'm talking about is a build that I came up with on my own, where you get essentially 3 barracks with an engineering bay, and you do a timing attack around the same time that we do our attack. But the thing is, this attack that's timed has a bit more stuff, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty good. I mean, this build that we're doing is a lot better, in fact. So that's why I want to show this off and point out that, you know, as you play more, you can get more refined. But obviously, we had a little hiccup with our expansion, so our timing of resources is going to be a bit delayed, which is super bad. But that's how it goes. Sometimes you just can't do anything about it. I mean, I got the Marine out as early as I physically could, I think. Like, that was the fastest I could possibly have a Marine out, and didn't matter. Anyway, again, still going to be going ahead and adding on the barracks. We want to get 2 of those, and I go ahead and plonk the barracks down right next to my tech structures, or the better production structures, and then supply depot's lowered. Going to go ahead and plonk that tank down right in front of the command center, roughly. But then I decide, well, we got to block the ramp too. Viking comes out, lay down the tech lab. I'm going to go ahead and make a new tech lab. And this build is it's pretty solid, actually. I quite like it, because we're getting our expansion done already. If you look at the amount of workers, I have more workers actually, which is nice. Obviously, he has 2 orbital commands as well, but we got our expansion down earlier, so we have more SCVs, which does matter. Obviously, some of my SCVs are idle right now, so not quite good. As you can see, we're doing a lot of building rearrangement, a lot of restacking. Haven't done my hotkeys yet, which is kind of terrible. And I don't quite know what the hotkey button is to add things to a control group. I just don't know it. It's probably a way to figure that out. Because right now what I do is I just double click on everything that's on a screen and then just control whatever, you know, do whatever control group I need. And that's been working out okay. And we're going to go ahead and get ready to take our 3rd, because of course we need to get it. And that's what I'm still following the build order again pretty closely. We haven't been interrupted again since, so no reason that there should be any faltering in our logic, although I think I forget to get the upgrades again, even though we have the engineering bit. Yeah, I think I'm just not getting the upgrades yet, which I should be doing, like right now, at this moment. I could get an upgrade, and hopefully I think of it, but no, I think I'm just prioritizing SCVs and you know, making supply depots. Oh yeah, I make a long line of supply. Oh right, this game's great because I made a long line of supply depots because I was thinking, okay, well, I don't really want to get supply blocked for that. And he scans and he sees my entire army. I mean, that's literally all I have. That should have been a bit of a tip off. And when I go to look at the scan, I actually realized that I didn't fully saturate one of my gas. It's a bit bad. And obviously, I'm thinking, okay, is he gonna do something? I was thinking he saw my whole army. Which is a bit frustrating. And then we end up dealing with something pretty bad. And I put a missile turret down in there, but unfortunately, the missile turret in there doesn't work out. So I run my Marines over, because the Marines are the only thing that's useful in this situation. And I'm kind of like, nah, we gotta get these Liberators. And we get them. It went pretty well. We lost a lot of SCVs though. At this point I'm thinking, I just killed some of his units. Maybe I should try and make an attack. Might be a good idea. And I guess another reason I hate fighting Terran is because siege tanks are so good against Marines. So when we kind of like, I like when the enemy doesn't have siege tanks, because I think siege tanks are the thing that I struggle the most to fight. What you need to understand about siege tanks is you just can't advance on them. You need to either attack them from air, or you need to use like something speedy or drop right on top of them. so that way then you're not gonna have that kind of an issue. And at this point, I finally got my attack upgrade started, which is a bit overdue, to be fair. We've got some dropships coming. I think I'm waiting for some more dropships to show up. Or, sorry, they're medevacs in this game. Play a bit of Brood War as well. So I go ahead and make the attack. It's delayed again. This is a late attack. This is not something that is necessarily as good. Partly because we had to defend against the Liberators, but, you know, you get the picture. It still works out. You get to the enemy base at a pretty good time. Again, this map is a bit of a struggle. So what I like to do is always I like to move up. I had to wait for my obviously my medevacs, and we kind of sneak around this little backside. And oh yeah, I was queuing up stuff, and I was waiting to find the third. I find it. I'm like, great. And we begin the assault. At this point, I'm thinking, well, maybe we should just try and push forward. I think I thought about it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to stumble into a siege tank. Oh yeah, right. And then we find Banshees attacking our stuff. I didn't notice it right away, but I immediately went and I clicked on the command center and I was like, scan. And I scanned without even looking. We lost our tanks though, and I was like, crap, this is going to be bad. But I thought we did good. Oh, but he has a tank, so I back up. Then he has another. He had another thing, so I scanned right on top of that Banshee. And at this point, I think I'm thinking, you know what? Let's just drop into his base again. I wasn't really wanting to, because that wasn't really my thing. Like, I was trying to do this one by like actually straight up attacking, but it's like you may as well if you're gonna have the Banshees anyway. And at this point, I run straight onto those tanks. I get the tank. I'm like, crap, I'm out of energy. Nice. I quickly go. I'm like frantic in this scenario. This is not something where it's like, oh, this is easy. Then he GG's because I kill all his Banshees. But man, if I didn't have those scans ready, you know, if I had been muling the whole time, I actually probably wouldn't have been able to deal with the Banshees. So that's something to point out. Maybe it's a good idea to save your scans sometimes. Maybe you don't need to be muling over every single moment. I mean, my third base wasn't even operational. You know, I was getting missile turrets and stuff, but, you know, that's kind of how it is. So anyway, like I said, we're going to take a quick break for the time being. Yeah, if you look, we're about halfway through the games. We played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left, but some of those games are a bit shorter. So we'll go ahead and gonna go ahead and just do a quick screen pause. 1 second. But anyway, I do hope this has been going well for you guys. I've had a lot of fun actually doing this kind of stuff because I really do honestly enjoy the like the process of kind of talking about games where we win and what elements made us win and how, you know, ultimately at the end of the day the whole goal of StarCraft is just to be like, okay, I'm gonna kill you, you're gonna kill me, and then we're gonna try and you know, make it work out together. So again, let me do I have a pause image? I thought I would, but I guess not. So we'll just or here we can pop this image down. Yeah, just gonna whatever. We're pausing. Be right back. Sorry about that. Okay. Excellent. All right. Now that's done. Sorry, just, it was a bit, you know. Now we get to go on to a fun game. I love this game. This is like, so I got attacked by a build. And hello everyone, welcome back to this is the kind of the second half of the stream. I want to show off this build because it is hilarious. So I did this. This happened to me. What I'm about to do happened to me in a game, and I want to point out how dumb this build is, and I don't think it's very fair. And I'm not going to be doing it again. It happened to me, and I was like, well, if I get another Terran, maybe I'll try it, right? I was like, this can't work every time, and it doesn't. I actually tried it multiple times. It's the only time I got it to work, so I figured I'd show it off, this strat, and it's pretty garbage. And I don't recommend it. I just thought, show off a good, fun game where the game's a bit silly. And you'll notice in all my games, I don't scout, for the record. That's kind of just not something I do because this build doesn't really care what composition the enemy has because it's supposed to be good against pretty much everything that the enemy can throw out. But this time I'm like, okay, let's send a SCV out. But uh-oh, we're sending out 2 SCVs actually. Not for an early scout, for a bit of a rush. And it's quite rude. And we're going to keep building, stuff. And I'm kind of keeping track of my guys, making sure we don't see an enemy scout or anything pop up. And we're going to go ahead and build some barracks all the way across the map, which is kind of messed up. I'm going to go ahead and get gas. I'm going to try and keep up my economy, but realistically here, considering how bad I am at doing economy stuff, it's probably not going to happen. And I decided I need to get the supply depot quickly, so that way, if the guy does scout me, he at least thinks everything is normal. Because that'd be pretty good to do. And we have some guys in gas. We should probably throw one more in gas. And yes, this is a Marine rush. This is just dirty. It's not even about Reapers. I could have done a Reaper. But I decided a Marine is more practical, because we can get a lot more done with them and stuff. Then I send this SCV to scout. Oh, I go ahead and, I'm smart, I make it look like we're coming up from the middle. Just in case he had an expansion, which he does, so it looks like everything's normal. And then I lay down a bunker. I'm like, haha! Bunker time. And I make another barracks over here, up front. I get ready to do that. And I rally up stuff. I kill the SCV that's building the command center. Aha, you've been caught. This is great. This build is pretty much good against early expand, but it won't do good against a normal build. I also want to point out how much of a struggle it is to actually make this work. Like, you need to have a lot of things lined up. Essentially, the enemy has to like go for a build order that yours just that Mass Marine happens to be. It's insanely unfair. And you'll notice where I focus down his troops, This is what he has. I mean, if you look at structures, look at the everyone cam, to be honest. We don't even need to. This is it. You just made his factory. Doesn't even have a tech lab yet. My economy's going through the roof, by the way. I have, like, just Marine production of 2 Marines at a time. I'm terrible. That's just awful. Like, it's not even good. I'm gonna go ahead and focus down the barracks. We keep rallying Marines, of course, because what else would we be doing if not bringing Marines over? Wasn't even utilizing the 3rd barracks. We were just bad. He made a widow mine to defend himself. Which, hey, you build what you can, right? But you end up kind of just killing the stuff anyway. And he's making Marines out of his barracks. He's trying. He's really spending his money. I'm focusing down his unit producing structures. and we're still making 2 Marines at a time. That's the thing. We're not. I didn't even like I queued it up, but I didn't have a supply depot, so I actually get stuck, and I'm only making like a certain amount at a time, which is just hilarious. Like this was so bad by me. I could probably refine this and make it even better, but I'm not going to because this isn't. I mean, yeah, it's StarCraft, but it's kind of not in the spirit of what I'm doing here. Yeah, come around here and we're just killing him. That's it. That's the game. A bit stupid. Don't do it. I'm just saying it's not fun. Really, it's not. But it happened to me, and I wanted some revenge, so I figured I'd show off my revenge again. Very, very annoying, for the record. Not nearly as fun. We're getting a lot of Zerg games, I've noticed, in this section. You know, Zerg seems to be the more favorable kind. Anyway, let's take a look what we're doing. So again, we're doing the same build order. Everything's looking good. Well, actually, since you guys should know the build order by now enough, this is far enough into the series that should be pretty clear. We'll take a look at what the Zerg player is doing. Actually, well, you know what I'm doing. Let's see why my build order is working. Let's you know what I mean. I think that's a good next step for this next section of the game to actually show off what's going on, right? So you've seen the games where you know what I'm doing. It's fine. And we'll see what he's doing. So he's making Overlord first, which is, well, yeah, he's making an Overlord first, which is fine. I think it's called an Overpool. I think that's what the build is called. But he should be making a spawning pool like now. Like now. But he's already behind. Okay. He's not. You need to be making stuff quickly. That'll be the first big mistake if you're not spending your money. He made a hotkey for his base though, which is good. I don't like how the ground kind of shows up through the creep though. It looks a bit like a bad texture. You're going for his hatchery, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. Yep, making a spawning pool. Not much to say about the Zerg. He's just making a spawning pool. He started it on 12. Or maybe 14, actually. I think it was a 14 pool because he used one drone. No, it should be 11. Huh. Or no, 15. 15 pool? I could go back and check, but I'm not going to. So he's making his first 6 lings to go ahead and scout. Pretty typical stuff. You know, it can be good. Sometimes hell, sometimes you get lucky and the 6 Zerglings just kind of win it for you. Not really the case considering how Lady's doing it though, but it's a nice thought. And you're just going to be droning up, which you should be doing. You should be droning up as much as possible. Yep. So yeah, he's just making drones. Yeah. He's making his hatcheries pretty early. You know, he's on 17. You know, brings him down and up because he's making drones to compensate for the supply. It's kind of hard to count supply for Zerg because they have to give up their units in order to build buildings. So this was pretty nuts. I actually ran away. I was smart. I ran as far away as I could. And at this point, I think I'd have decided that the command center is just going to die because there's not much of a chance. But it has a lot of health, so I wanted to, you know, make sure that it worked out. Start playing with the supply depot. And he doesn't really see what I'm doing. Obviously, I haven't changed my build. I'm making Marines, obviously. He kind of delays moving those Zerglings around, which is a choice, I suppose. I'm gonna go ahead and make barracks. I mean, at this point, I'm actually making barracks instead. So I'm changing up the build a bit of what to do against a Ling attack. Obviously, I've already made Marines, and I put them behind my wall because that's a better place to do it. When he starts attacking the command center, which is fine, but, you know, I can cancel it at any time if I need to. And so what do you do in this position, right? You're being attacked by Lings. What's actually going on in the Terran player's base? Well, we're still building our stuff. Still getting the factory. We're getting double barracks first. I just did the 2 barracks first, essentially, instead. So I have the Marines. And then I firing squad these guys. Perfectly fine. I saved the building, which is nice. And going to go ahead and obviously be sending an SCV, I think, to deal with that. But anyway, we're here to focus on the Zerg player, because that's what we're really here for. Because I'll end up repairing. Yeah, that'll be fine. So he goes ahead and starts spreading creep, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. You got to connect those bases up at some point. This creep spread isn't, you know, he needs to be getting that done a bit faster. Making his baneling nest, pretty typical. Should be having Zergling's speed being researched, if not already. We can go to upgrades. No, upgrades. Is it L? Oh, Lord. I don't know what. There's an upgrade tab. G. None. No one has upgrades. Which is great. If you look at the Union County Station, I have 8 Marines now. He's got 12 Lings. And I'm making Hellions. Right, so I switched it up entirely. So at this point, I'm actually going to be going with Hellions instead because I got attacked early, and I figured with this many Lings, he's probably going to be doing some sort of a Ling all-in type push. And I realized, well, we have the factory, we got delayed on our build. I'm not really going to get the composition that I want. Why not go ahead and get some Hellions? Because Hellions are great. They do a good job. And there's something to be said about trying to do a Hellion harass, but I don't like harassing because it feels like you're just kind of giving your units away when that money could have been used to be making other stuff, making the actual push. Feels a little bad. And they ended up just swapping the tech lab and the starport there. Because I ended up using the reactor for... Because I made a reactor first to make those Hellions in case we got a run-by coming in. And, you know, we're still making Marines. We're doing work on our upgrades. I mean, if you look at the upgrades, he doesn't have speed yet, which is pretty bad, actually. Like, at this point, he has 200 gas. Get speed, dude. Like, you need it. It's super important. But no, it's making banelings. But speed, you kind of need the speed in order for the Zerglings to keep up, because if not, then the banelings will just kind of roll past, and you won't really get done what you need to get done. And anyway, we're back to the normal build. See, now we're back to having starport with a reactor, factory with a tech lab. We're going to have barracks with 2 tech labs on it. So we get it back to normal. The difference is we end up having 6 Hellions because I was worried about an early attack. And, you know, we're making supply depots, like, non-stop. And now we start speed, finally. He finally gets the speed upgrade done. I'm going to go ahead and siege up. For the record, at this point, I kind of assume he has speed already, because he should have it. The fact that it's delayed is a bit disappointing. And you notice if you look at his vision, he can't really see much. I mean, you can see I have a refinery, and you can see the old command center, but he doesn't really know what's going on. I don't know if he was trying to knight us or something, but you know, it could have been scouting for drops. If a drop comes, of course, I like to drop right down the middle, so that way it's kind of a weird path to take. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it works out. And he's getting 2 Evo chambers and an infestation pit, I believe. Nope, 3 Evo chambers. That sounds like a mistake. You don't need 3 Evo chambers. That's a bit silly. Especially because you're doing a melee focus anyway, you know. So he's got his banelings and his Zerglings, and that's great. I think he's getting ready for some sort of an attack at this point. Obviously, actually, you know what's funny? I actually ended up making an armory because I had the extra money, and I used that so I could turn my Hellions into Hellbats, just so that way they could be more effective in the event of a lot of Lings coming through. And I kind of expected a Ling Bane thing from how many Lings I saw. And also, it's the meta. That's like the most typical Zerg thing to do. Like, Roaches and Hydras are pretty uncommon compared to Ling Bane. I even got a +1 attack on my... Because I had the armory, I was like, why not? I'll get a +1 attack on my tanks. Just to make them that much better. Because why not? Tanks without upgrades are perfectly acceptable, by the way, for the first push. But yeah, you need those upgrades. I mean, it's important. If you look at the upgrades, no one's got a +1 of any kind, but I'm getting a +1 on the stuff. And if you actually look at the structures, I don't have an engineering bay. And he's just going to kind of go for an attack. And he's making Hydras. That's kind of cool. He's still doing Hydras, because I guess he's expecting a drop of some sort. And he gets in there. He's attacking my stuff. He's not actually watching the attack. Fair enough. I'm able to clean it up for the most part. and I don't know if he's noticed, but yeah, he just straight up didn't see that I didn't have much of an army there. Which is surprising. So he's watching this. This is a bit of a thing to note for like when you're not playing so well. Is that I don't even know, or I guess he can see it on the minimap, but he doesn't seem to really be queuing up a ton of production of stuff. He's even expanding. He just saw my big Terran force, you know. Adds on some spines, which is good. Hey, you need defense. I get it. You'd hope you'd be putting your larvae on your hatcheries, though, so that way you actually are aware of, you know, you're able to get more units out. Because Hydras suck against this my army composition. Like, yeah, they can get the medevacs maybe, but like, probably won't. You know. And again, he's not even really interested in worrying about the attack. Apparently, I kind of roll in and I'm doing my thing, and again, he doesn't seem to really care. Because if you look, I just end up clearing it out. The siege up on the creep. Like, I don't even care about the creep. Because it doesn't matter. And then I cut his base kind of in half. And then I'm able to just kind of get in there, and there's a big pop of Zerglings, but I slaughtered it. Because I just stopped targeting the barracks, or the hatchery, and be able to kind of kill everything. And that's kind of how it works out. Showing this off because, again, you know what I'm doing. I switched it up to fight Zerg with the Hellbats, and they're kind of helpful, but Banelings kind of take them out pretty easily, so they're not that reliable. And now this game is super cool for like education and just kind of learning about the game, the matchup. We'll do this from my perspective again. This is a gold versus gold game. Good. So actually getting people on my skill level also helps. Helps for the demonstration, of course. And we'll go ahead and just view the game, and we'll see what happens. Pretty exciting stuff, actually. I really do like it. Getting to do funky things because it makes the game interesting. And we'll be going ahead and making our depot right away. His pylon's a bit slow. Oh well. We're at about the same amount of money, which is indicative of counts of workers, but I think I have a slight edge on my worker timing too. I think I was just a bit faster in this game, and that kind of helps, being able to play quickly. And doing the build as we would expect, of course, because you know that's what you need to do in order to stay consistent with your wins as well. You're not going to be consistent if you're just building things just cause. And so we go ahead and work on getting ready to do the expansion with our SCV. This might be a game where I forget to fill it with gas, which is kind of bad. Especially because we have the money to be just fine making a Marine and Orbital Command. Actually made the Orbital Command first. And then we're going to go ahead and get our expansion. Yep. And at this point I think I realize I need to fill the gas, perhaps. There's nothing to actually do. Yeah, there's nothing to actually do. And my gas is going to be a bit delayed because of this, so I won't be able to necessarily build the reactor right away, which does slow down the build a bit. So it's kind of about getting used to being crisp and have a good timing. But either way, I make the supply depot on the low ground as expected. As soon as the Orbital Command pops, make 2 workers and drop a mule. All very good. Drop the mule first, by the way, then make the workers. And obviously I'm queuing up stuff to go work on that mineral line. Gonna get our second refinery now, and I get the refinery before the factory because I figure, well, it's kind of silly to put the factory first because we're not necessarily gonna be able to build everything out of the factory anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna lay down that bunker right at the front, connecting the wall. I think making a wall off with the bunker seems to be the good choice. Oh god, and this zealot pops up, and this is where the micro comes in. I almost could have labeled this something about micro. And two more Marines show up, which is good. He gets one Marine. Ugh, so terrible. And I thought, oh my god, am I going to lose this game? But I was like, no, I need to hold the line. I need to do something. We have the guns, after all. We have the big, bulky guns. And I'm working on making that bunker still. That's kind of the goal. Oh god. So 3 Zealots easily will wipe out 4 Marines, for the record. So I misclicked there a bit. Did a bit of a bad job. And then we're going to see my epic micro skills. Obviously, I have 2 more Marines coming out. It's critical. Boom. Take him out. And I think at this point I realized we're probably going to lose at this point. I'm going to make some Hellions, just because. Like, Hellions are usually a good choice. Five Marines does beat 1 Zealot. Doing a bit of kiting. Yeah. You got to be really careful. So that's why it also helps to have a reactor, so you can actually make your defense pretty easily. And I think I thought he had a proxy, so I'm going to go out here and I'm going to try and find his stuff. Now, he didn't, but nice to know. He didn't. I thought he had a proxy because he was getting those Zealots over way quick, but he wasn't, so lucky me. I realize that there's no proxy, and I go ahead and continue the build as best I can, make the starport. I believe I'm going to go ahead and just start making the barracks, yeah. So I'm like, okay, we need to catch up. We need to get it all done at the same time. I just start making a bunch of SCVs, remake the bunker in a bit of a better position, although granted, the bunker didn't even finish the first time. I have a bunch of Marines queued up, why not? Have a nice line of Marines set up as well, super handy. Just making more Marines, making a ton of Marines because our factory isn't even ready to go, and I want to make tanks though. That's like the goal. What am I currently doing? I'm selecting the starport. Oh yeah, I'm making tanks. Okay, so we're getting ready to go. Fill the bunker. I actually make a second bunker because I wanna make sure that whatever's going on isn't like some sort of 4-gate all-in sort of thing. I ended up just making the tech labs right on the barracks because, again, of the delay with the tanks and all that, you need to be able to be flexible in your build, and you need to know what the final product of your build is going to look like anyway. So it's super important. I think I'll go ahead and repair that supply depot because I want to have a good wall. And, you know, I'm following the build. Oh no, I didn't repair the supply depot. I think maybe I just left it then. You know, making 2 medevacs, making a tank, making the Marines. So all that's good. Oh yeah, I made 1 reactor, 1 tech lab. So gonna get upgrades, but it's gonna be a bit slow. Fair enough. It happens. Gonna siege up. I'm kind of just waiting now for more tanks and more medevacs. I go combat shield first, so that way we have increased health for our Marines. And we'll heal up a little bit with what we have. Again, we're doing a good job of trying to build everything. Even make the command center. So because we want to get our 3rd, you know, we want to be prepared. And I'm going to be getting ready to go for kind of a push at some point because we're coming up on that time, right around the 7 minutes. Technically at 6:30 is when you're supposed to leave, but we got attacked, so we can delay it a bit. You know, but he invested his time in making Zealots, so that was his choice. But we're making Marines at a good rate, and that's something that's really nice. Also, making sure we keep up our economy, dropping all of the mules that we possibly can, always a good choice as well. And I think I realized I'm actually supply blocked, and that's super bad as well. So we're going to go ahead and make 2 supply depots, and we'll queue up more supply depots, just so that way we're ready to go. And so I'll make sure all the production structures are queued up. And I'm thinking, all right, it's pretty sweet stuff we got going on. Nothing too crazy. Got, you know, we got 2 medevacs, tank, 5 marines now coming out at once. It's all synced up. It's pretty good. Gonna go ahead and build the orbital before we land it, which is super important. I even put a hotkey on my command center for scans, which is nice because I learned my lesson that I needed scans for banshees, so I want to keep that up. Use the Hellions for a good scout. I actually can see the observers flying overhead, which I think is pretty handy. So I knew that he knew I was coming, but I wanted to kind of deal with that anyway. And I try and avoid the vision of his because I think I want to check for a third. Also, I need to siege up. I know there's a third because the probe just went there. So I'm going to go ahead and siege up. I hear, and then I push in. I'm like, all right, sounds good. So we start attacking. You know, we're going after him. I can see the observers kind of moving around. It's a bit annoying. Sieging up. I got the base. Great. A lot of photon cannons up there, so we don't quite want to do that. And actually, we're able to get the tank firing like in reverse. And so I just hang out. I'm like, okay, we pretty much got this. Even gonna go ahead and unload my marines and help bring reinforcements. Then I notice that our troops are being attacked, so I scan. Haha! Let me get them. All the DTs just go down. I'm like, oh crap, they have DTs. And I think at some point, I'm going to decide to build the engineering bay. Much delayed. Oh no, I put my another orbital command hotkeyed up. Again, we got that. We have a second, you know, we're pumping out units though. We're going nuts. Got to be conservative with the scans as well, so it's important to keep the army sort of grouped up together. I'm just kind of waiting. And once the Nexus goes down, I know it'll probably be fine. But he comes out with a bit too many units for me to handle. But he can't shoot up, so the medevac is just fine. But I also know I'm going to want to get inside of his base. So at this point, I think I decide to go for a classic drop. I think. At least that'd be my guess. Oh, no, I guess not. Didn't go for a drop. I just held off another push because he's making a lot of units, and my production went through the roof. It was terrible. Well, not went through the roof. It was opposite. It fell through the floor. It wasn't good. I wasn't making anything. I didn't even have my third base up yet, which I knew was just bad. So we had to regroup, and we were like, okay, gotta regroup. Gotta get ready to do this all again. Making more medevacs. Actually, pull back because I have like 4 medevacs now. So if I keep everyone together, it should be okay. I guess still no engineering bay, huh? Kind of a weird choice in my part, but it happens. Then I go ahead and send out the drop. I happen to be looking over here, so that's great. And I don't believe he necessarily saw the drop coming either. Because of, I timed it, it was almost timed perfect. And I'm finally getting the engineering bay now for the record. Which is great. And I come back here, I'm like, oh, Dark Shrine. Oh, good. And I know this is kind of like my chance to take out his tech, so I just focused down the Dark Shrine. So I realized, yeah, I don't want any more Dark Templar coming after me. That'd be pretty bad. And he just leaves at that point. What was his army doing? Let's take a look at this. Where was his army? He didn't have an army. He was expanding, and he didn't have an army. Okay, never mind. That was it. I was perfectly fine. Still never set up my third base for the record, but, yeah, well, that's how it goes sometimes. I don't know. I think if he actually kept up his production, he probably would have been fine. I think that game was a little misleading. I was able to use my scans effectively, obviously. Having those on a hotkey was really helpful, but, you know, there is something to be said about, you know, things being a bit weird. Alright, let's go ahead and take a look at this game, and I'm gonna cast this game kind of as an in-between sort of thing. I'm gonna try and go through both players, because this is my, you know, you can see mine, obviously. You know what I'm doing. I'm doing what I always do. Keeping it pretty standard, so that way we can move up the ladder. And I was doing a good job because, to be honest, I lost a couple games and I fell pretty far in the ranks, so I spent a good amount of time just trying to get back, climb the ladder again. So I played the same build a lot. I know that can get kind of boring, but it can be helpful. It really can be. You know, like, this is pretty standard stuff. Obviously, he starts with an Overlord, so he's sending it straight over a Scout. This dude's just making drones. Just making drones. Obviously, no Overlords yet. He's going to be doing his fast expand. Even goes ahead to make gas. We're doing the standard, making our barracks, and we have our refinery, obviously. And we're seeing that the hatchery's going down. He got his gas like before his spawning pool, so that actually means he's probably going to do early speed. You know, if I actually bother to scout it at all. I never really have a problem with Zerglings. I've noticed with the build I do, it just seems like they don't really have much of an effect. They kind of die pretty quick. They're not really that useful. Or maybe my opponents are using them badly. I don't know. Just feels like I never really have any trouble with that. And you know, he's getting a good amount of workers done. You know, he's got fully saturated essentially, except for the gas, which he might want. For the record, I mean, you could get speed started like instantly if you bother to go get more gas. You know what I mean? Like, I would like to think that you'd want to get more gas, but hasn't bothered to. So now his speed is going to be behind, which is a bit disappointing. Obviously, I have my one little Marine. He's not actually building any Lings. Doesn't need to, I suppose, especially against Terran, who Terran's more than happy to sit by and just do their thing. Nothing wrong with that. With regard to the production, looks like the Baneling nest. Oh, where'd the Baneling nest go now? Where is he putting that? Right there. Baneling nest. Boom. Yep. Making his queens. Should be one queen on each. Yep. And is he going to save up for a third base? Perhaps. I'm watching that money get pretty high, so hoping that's what he's doing. Either that or he's just not spending it. So speed is started, again delayed, obviously. Making 4 Lings now. His first four units that can really go across the map. 2 pop right away. Doesn't wait for the other 2, I think. Oh, no, he has 4. He's just going for it, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Making more drones now. 4 Zerglings is actually should be enough to hold off any early rush styles. Should be, of course. You've got his Overlord here. If we look at his actual vision of what he can see the bunker and the Marines filing out. And if you look at my vision, I did not know this was here. I could not see this, so yeah, something to note. Just a good little vision trick you can do. And the third's going down, which is great. Zerg really does need to be on 3 bases, because as long as Terran and Zerg have the same amount of bases, Terran should win, because the units are just tougher, they're stronger. Zerg wins by having lots of units. And they need to. They really need to. Like, as soon as these pop, I expect these to turn into drones, though, because he's trying to saturate that base. You know, he's still a pretty weak at this point. And I'd argue, anyway. Oh, yeah, he ends up flying in and sees kind of all my tech. But my Viking just popped, so I'm going to go ahead and get this nice Overlord. Which is super handy. In reaction to this, he is, of course, making 2 Overlords now instead of 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and fly my Viking back. Yep, standard stuff, dropping off. You see how, like, I've gotten better to now where, like, all the buildings are right next to each other, squeezed up? It just points out how much better my play's been getting over just doing the same thing over and over. Again, 2 Overlords. Now he's making more drones. Good. He's making drones. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. He'll know when an attack comes, and he knows when, so he'll know when to make units. He's making a Spire as well. Gotta do, you know, gotta do some fun hatchery, or sorry, some fun Mutalisk type play. Where'd he put his Spire? How am I? Oh, there it is. It's all little blobs, so it's hard for me to tell what's what. You know, I'm just messing up my army as normal. Nothing crazy is going on. I just made my tech lab. I'm gonna make the refinery. Also swapping the barracks. Kind of forget about this Viking here, which happens. He's making 3 Mutalisks. Good start, I suppose. And you can see there's not really any drones here at this base. He set it up, but it's not really being productive. Granted, he probably could be. I mean, he has 400 minerals. I don't know if he was saving up for something in particular, but it seems like you'd want to be, you know, I would think you would want to be getting this saturated as well, because he's all set up. Like, this is a Zerg base that's ready to go. So I would make some drones, or hell, transfer the drones over. Something. Please. Like, this is so sad. Where is this drone going? Is it going here? That's oversaturated then. Oh, man. Oh, no, I guess it brings it to 15. Okay. So this guy's not really droning the best. He's making a Mutalisk army. Fair enough. It's perfectly reasonable. I like Mutalisks. Pretty cool. And if you look at what he sees, we can take a look at his camera for a second. He's making 12 drones, which is awesome. That's how you want to do it. You go to the unit counting station. I have 36. He's going to have like almost 50, which is fantastic. And he's just doing his injects, making lots of stuff. And he's going to outpace me in worker count pretty darn quick. Which, again, normal for Zerg to do against us Terran. Totally fine. Nothing wrong with it. As you can see, my composition of troops has come together now. Pretty well. We're pretty much at the time when we want to make an attack. Or we would want to try to make an attack anyway. And he's going to go ahead and send in some forces, I think. Obviously, we're still producing. We're producing our +1 upgrade. You can see the command center. That's going to go get set up. I don't know what he's waiting for. He should probably just go in. Yeah. Again, I haven't looked at these games in a little while, so I'm not too sure. In fact, the command center hasn't landed yet. Him attacking this command center is quite annoying, but I'll go ahead and just bring over everyone. Wow, that Marine is just the laziest Marine I've ever seen. He does end up getting a lot of workers, though. Oh, but then I think he flies right over my Marines, which is pretty bad. And obviously you have my Viking. Okay. And then the Viking totally gets, like... That totally has some problems. Move in to try and save my tanks as best as I can. And I realize that the Mutalisk Harass is just far too much. Fortunately, I do have the engineering base, so I can go ahead and make turrets if needed. I continue up production. You notice he's floating like 2,000 minerals or something. He's got a lot of overseers too. You know, unit counting station wise, he has 10 Mutalisks and some, like a small tiny bit of Lings and Banes. And I just have 41 Marines, you know, a couple Marauders, 3 tanks still, and 6 medevacs. So it's still pretty good. And I'm making more. You know, I'm cranking out the Marine count as hard as I can while he's setting up for a 4th base. Which, hey, you know, sometimes you need a 4th base. I get it. And I guess he's making a Speedway Zerga creep highway for himself. I don't think he needs this many Overseers, though. It's a bit much. I don't know. Just my opinion. I think it's a bit much. And he's got an infestation pit. Probably gonna try and get ready to do some like swarm hosts, or hell, you could just get infestors too, to be honest. But because it'd be kind of cool actually to corrupt the or mind control the tanks in my army, so that way I can. It would completely destroy everything. All my Marines would have no chance to kill the infestors in time to get back control of my tanks. And yeah, 3 turrets going down now finally. Because I knew I still had to keep up my production. And he sees the blob of red moving out across the map, right? So he can see what's going on. And I'm assuming there's going to be a responsive queuing up of units. I don't know. This army composition isn't that big for a ground army to like defend itself. I mean, he's still transferring drones. Then the big, I don't know, maybe he wasn't paying attention, but the big death ball just appeared, right? But I stim underneath his Mutalisks and I kill everything anyway. And with all my tanks, you know, it's pretty easy to figure that I would just siege up and move on. And that was the game. He ran everything in, my tanks blew up all his ground forces, and then my Marines shot the... It happens. You just kind of win quick sometimes. It's nothing to scoff at. That's just how it goes. And then this is a game I just played. So I played 2 games today already, and I wanted to make these videos after I did these 2 games because I was like, okay, this is some pretty fun stuff. Figured I'd show it off. We're gonna totally watch this from my perspective because I think it's just great. I don't even need to know what he was doing, to be honest. So good luck, have fun. You know, standard stuff. I'm trying to be a little nicer in my games. You know, oh, there was a bit of lag at the beginning. That's why the minerals weren't moving, which is okay. Connection errors happen, as you know, we know. It happens. It's okay. So anyway, we're going through the game. Going to be doing our build. You know, the build that we know and love, our best build. And then I have an extra special game after this one to show you, which I'm super excited for. So yep, we're going to do our standard, make our supply depot. Going to go ahead and make barracks right after. Obviously, we're going to take our gas as soon as we have the money for it, which is always good. You can't really go wrong with taking the gas. You know what I mean? Tends to go pretty well. And I don't know. You guys know what I'm doing. Let's watch the other Protoss guy. Let's see what he's doing. He's getting ready to do something with a Nexus, maybe. He doesn't have enough money. He should be chrono boosting his Nexus so that way he can get more workers out. Actually, kind of surprising that we're still on the same amount of workers. He should be able to make more than me. Like the way Terran gets an economic advantage is usually just from their mules. That's why the orbital command is so important. So he's having some trouble with his wall. And we haven't really watched the Protoss perspective on things for a while, so we'll take a look. And he's getting his he's getting his probes ready to jump into that geyser. What do they call it? What do they call it? This is a simulator. I'm not a Protoss player. So yeah, he's waiting for his expansion. That probe totally could have been mining for so much longer. You didn't need to do that. Okay, so he gets the base up. And I assume he's gonna drop another pylon, or not. Maybe it'll be a gateway. Nope, he's bringing it over here to. Oh god, this is a silver player for the record. He's not, you know, he's not a gold player. Like, you know, there's a bit of a skill gap. So I'm trying to be nice, but no. You would kind of think that you'd know not to just wander around. Now the pylon on to block this thing is cool, because Reapers could pop up, and that is a fair defense. But if Reapers were popping up, they would already be here. Just for the record, they'd be here. This is a pretty big map, by the way. Like it's kind of like one of those ones where it's like a snake. You have like one main direct path, and then the side paths take forever. So it's kind of easier to just push up the middle. And that's why you also have those speed boost things in the map. And yeah, I'm doing my normal stuff. I mean, we can go to the everyone cam. Got my bunker with the stuff. We have the barracks, factory. All good, all good. Then we have this adept that's gonna go ahead and shade in, I assume. Oh yeah, and then he asks to pause. And I'm like, okay, I just killed your guy. Why not? I'm like, okay. And we pause, but in the replays, pauses aren't shown. So he's like, sorry about that. And I'm like, all right, no problem. Oh, good. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not going to get upset about a pause. It happens. And we see he's going to go ahead and build what is that? 2 gateways? Yeah, making 2 gateways here. Pretty good stuff. Again, loving the everyone cam here. He's definitely getting ready to queue up some stuff. So he made an attack, and from his perspective, he saw Marines in a bunker and the expansion. And for the record, at this point, he's got like a couple guys mining. I've already got, you know, pretty good amount of saturation coming down, and dropping mules, obviously. You know, we're constantly trying to get that done. And I think I even remember to rally the command center over to the expansion. And this tank was sitting there for a while. I kind of forgot about him. He's supposed to be right down here defending. There could have been a big push coming. Sent another adept to scout. For the record right now, if you look at the resource, no, not that tab. Up until then, I was ahead, but then he shades in here. I don't know what I was doing. I probably just wasn't paying attention. If I go ahead and I get ready to attack. Oh, God. I was trying to keep building. I was trying to keep up my economy. I didn't want to stop doing what I was doing. I go ahead and siege up my tank. Because, you know, I've had enough of this shenanigans. And as you can see, this tank position is good because you can just about kind of see the whole thing. And he says he's lagging. And, perhaps. Maybe. I don't know. I have no way to prove that, you know, there's no way to say he is or isn't. You can make an excuse all you want. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's real. Maybe it really is lagging. But it happens. And because of those attacks, I'm actually like way ahead in my minerals. Like I have too many minerals that I'm using, and I really should have been throwing my command center down sooner. That is something to note. That command center play would have been a bit nicer. And then he takes the natural third. Like that's the third you want to take. You don't want to take the one in front of the base on this map because it's very difficult to defend it, just because of the positioning of everything. And, you know, he's making his pylons and probes, and if you look at the units, he's got an Immortal and a Zealot. I'm already at 17 Marines and 2 tank. You know, his build seems interesting. He's kind of doing like if you look at the structure count, he's got 4 gateways, 1 robo. He's got like kind of the building composition you would want. I have my building composition. Everything's going pretty well. Then he throws on a bunch of gateways, which I think is interesting. He's getting ready to get a lot more units really quick. Now I assume he wants to do a big warp gate thing, and he's sending an observer as well. Go check me out, see what's going on. But if you notice, the time is coming about to when I would want to push out for an attack. You know, just saying. Like this is probably why it's a good anti-Protoss build, though. Also, he did get a triple expand, so that would also have a bit of an effect. We get some stalkers. That's good. He's going ahead and making some probes. I mean, for the record, he hasn't seen any sign of an attack. He has no reason to assume that. And also, his observer flew into my base, and he has yet to go look at my base, like actually see what I have. So as far as he knows, he just has an observer there, and There's nothing really to see in a Terran main because you just see the production structures. You don't see the army, so it's a bit rough. And then he finally sees, oh yeah, they're moving out, like to the front. He assumes. Yeah, that tank is still there from when we attacked. And he'd probably be thinking, huh, that's a bit weird. And then he like loses track of stuff. And I'm already attacking his stuff. So that was a bit sad. Maybe he was lagging because that camera movement was a bit shifty, but I like how he pauses to type "oh crap" and "oh shit," and he's lagging, and now he's just looking at my base. And he's like, "Well, that's it," and I'm thinking, "Oh, okay." I didn't know what to think about that. He was just kind of talking to me like, "Oh yeah, everything's fine, but it's not fine." And I was like, "Oh boy, what is this?" You know. You can have some funny times when you play this game. Anyway, let's look at the last game. This is super exciting. I didn't think I would win, do good in this game, but this is the base race. Got an awesome base race coming at you. I think that's a platinum player or silver. Can't tell. I think it's probably silver, actually. And oh boy, is this exciting. We have so much to discuss with this game. Pretty standard beginning again. Actually, I'm gonna speed through it. Not speed through, but the opening doesn't matter. Like it doesn't. Zerg is doing a natural expand on the front. I'm gonna slow it down when we get to the part. It's actually interesting. I'm doing normal play. Zerg's doing normal play. Is that the classic hatchery? Huh, that's the classic, like, Brood War. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice his hatchery. That's really cool. Oh yeah, we end up attacking this. I forgot if I killed this or not. Oh, I guess I did kill it. I didn't notice. I wasn't paying attention when I killed that. And, yeah. So we just got our one Marine. There's a couple Zerglings being made. He's moving his overlords to scout. Oh, he has Zerglings here for some reason. Kind of a weird choice. Got more Zerglings coming out. Gonna spread his creep. Gonna do a good job spreading creep. He's got early speed. I think maybe he's hoping to try and get an early assault. He's keeping them together. Oh, he hit his lings so that way in case I scouted, I wouldn't see anything too suspicious. I see. And as you can see, I haven't put my men in the bunker yet, but I'm sure I will. Yeah. Kind of need to have men in the bunker, especially against Zerg. But I kept doing my standard build. There's nothing crazy going on or anything. I'm still just making my troops. It looks like he isn't really going for an all-in attack though. Like he hasn't made a ton of Zerglings. Should probably just be spraying them around the map to watch for when I leave my base. We'll go ahead and get our supply depot. We're blocking it off. We have a lot. I love the skin on the Marines, by the way. It looks really cool. I'd rather have the StarCraft 1 skins, but this was a free skin that I got, and I kind of like it. I think it looks pretty good, actually. You never really get a chance to zoom in and just take a look at the troops sometimes. In any case, third base going down. Good, typical, normal stuff. He's making roach warren, so he's gonna get some roaches, making the gas. All good. Overlord's still heading around the outside of the map. He's checking to see if I take my third. Could take my third there though, so maybe bring this Overlord over here so he sees which one I go for. Of course, he never gets around to seeing which third I go for because, well, he's not in the right position, obviously, of where I would want to take my third. He's just moving to like every expansion, I think. He should be trying to surround my base. Like he should put an Overlord there. He should put an Overlord there. That way he sees where I'm putting my stuff. And obviously I'm just, oh god, that tank's glitching out. I'm just building, we're doing the swap. I'm very much in my base right now, focused on this. I have no interest in checking out the outside world. And this does admittedly give Zerg kind of a free reign to do whatever he wants. So he gets his third base up, no problem. We do have we have sumblings. Nothing too crazy. Not like a big number of lings or anything. Got an engineering bay down, kind of a weird spot, but I figured I'd do it. Oh, especially I think because of I think I've been getting my engineering bay more frequently now in case I see flyers, and because it's Zerg, so missile turrets are much more important. And this one, just because of the Mutalisk threat that comes up, although this guy is doing roaches, so it's a bit different, doing melee attacks and ground armor. Fair enough, fair enough. You know, you do what you want to, what you got to do. Hasn't gotten the adrenal glands yet, but that's huge, a huge upgrade. Hasn't gotten that yet. I can't click on anything. This is a replay. So he has all these troops here. He's got a bunch of lings. Got 10 lings, 6 roaches. We've got 3 tanks, 20 marines. This isn't really an attackable. He's not ready to attack yet, and I'm working on my upgrades as well. Of course, because you need to have upgrades. It's like the most critical part. And I'd like to argue I've got a pretty solid wall here. I even surround the bunker a bit more. Really just trying to get that wall up, but as you can see, the marines are kind of walking right in between. But I get this nice triple. I also get some supply block, because I always get supply blocked when I play this build, because I'm never good at timing my supply depots for some reason, which is a bit disappointing. And I'm getting ready for my attack, though. You know, we're waiting on the medevacs to pop, because I was struggling with that. And we get our command center. And look, he has an overlord right there. Perfect. Again, not scouting this one, the one where I would possibly actually want to take a base. Destroying those rocks is good. Oh, I guess not all the way though. He didn't want to. Seems like some weird setup. I don't know. He's not destroying all the rocks. I mean, if he really wants to, you should destroy like that. Oh, getting a phone call actually. Hold on 1 second. Let me take this real quick. Sorry about that. All good now. We're good. We're good. We're okay. Got a phone call thing. All right, let's go ahead and continue. So we're gonna get a lot of roaches and ravagers coming out. Pretty good composition actually. Very good against siege tanks. So that is something to note. But as you can probably see from moving across the map, we are going this way. And actually, it's funny enough, he doesn't see this. Like I took the one path where it would seem that he doesn't have any vision, which is just hilarious that that happened. I think he's probably assuming there's a base here, but there's no base. And yeah, you just going at, you know, we're just attacking him. But yeah, I back up because of his Ravagers and stuff, because I see the Ravagers, I'm like, okay, we gotta back up. This is not good. And you know, he's got like, what, 25 workers heading there? Yeah, that's insane. There's a lot of saturation going on. Got a lot of roaches. Yep, I'm gonna go ahead and threaten that. I'm trying to like bait him out to come down and attack, but it doesn't really work out. And as you can see, I've stopped production, even though I have so many resources right now. Which is kind of nuts. I like watching it from his perspective, but I know you don't know what I'm doing. So essentially what I'm thinking at this point right now is, well, we've got, I'm going to slowly approach my siege tanks, and I was going to slowly come up here. I didn't know his army was down here, obviously. He can see all of this. He has vision, although, granted, looks like he wasn't really paying attention to what I was doing. Fair enough. And I was just kind of scanning everything. Killing off some creep because I wanted to do something sneaky, but I didn't know his army was over here at all. You know, I had no way to know. I mean, this tank isn't even siege. This doorway's down. It's pretty bad. Pretty bad on my part. But that's because I'm about to do a drop. And you know how my drops go. I drop in and kill everything. And this is right when he sends in his forces. I did nothing to defend this. I just kind of let this happen. Because if you look, I just now showed up here when the Spidey Bow's closed. And they give me a bit of time, so I run in. I'm like, okay, space race. And I was like, okay, I can do it. I was thinking, okay, I can kill it off. You know, I see what's going on. I don't have much of a chance. And I go ahead and land my command center over there. I'll give that as a command. And get the hell out of here. I'm still waiting for his army to, like, I know where his army is now. I know it's attacking my base. And I realized I'll just land a command center and I should be okay. Because that's just kind of how Terran is. We just kind of land our stuff wherever. And it doesn't matter. And then I saw the Overlord in the mini-map. And I was thinking, okay, that's okay, but we really need to be, I should get out of here. I realized I should get out. Also, because I realized that, if I can kill all his you know, StarCraft, for the record, the actual win condition is just to kill all of the opponent's buildings. Like, that's the win condition. And I realize if I kill his Spire, then he doesn't have any, I mean, he obviously doesn't have any air units attacking me right now, so I realize that I'd be just fine. I go and I kill all his workers, and I start attacking his base. And then I realize that, oh god, Zerg is horrible, and I unsiege, and I go and I can still see his army in my base, right? I still know his army's there. And I'm just trying to kill all his stuff. He's losing his buildings. He's coming after there, and I mean, I have my medevacs right there, but whatever. He doesn't need to kill them. Medevacs don't shoot things. And I come over here because I see that there's a base here. It's a good thing I came over here because this was his stuff. And I want to see what his reaction was during this, because this is it, right? This is his whole base. You know, he's lost this. He sees where my base is. And I stim and I try and avoid those Ravager shots, and I'm trying to kite, I'm trying to kite. And his base is being revealed. And he realizes he's killed all my stuff, but the command center's out of there. And that's it. Like, there's nothing he can do. He doesn't have... Does he even try him? He should have built a hatchery. Oh, and then I got him. I got him right as he was about to build the hatchery. Oh my god, that was even more close than I realized. I would have actually lost had I not killed him right then and there. If I had sieged up first. Whoo-hoo-hoo. With 27 out of 15 supply, I don't even know where that supply is coming from. Probably just like a baseline. If you look at structures, I have a command center. He's got some creep tumors. That's it. That's the game. Oh my god. How wonderful is that? Anyway, sorry about the little interruption, but otherwise, I think that all went pretty well. I had a lot of fun with this stream, showing off these awesome games. Obviously, if you guys want to play, if you're a lower ranked than me, like silver or bronze, send me a message. I'm totally happy to do some like coaching or training or talk about Terran specifically. We can go through this build order I came up with. You could practice it, try it out. We could look at your strategy, see how we can improve that. Usually at that level, though, it's just about getting to know your hotkeys, getting a hotkey setup that works for you. No one's hotkey setup is the same, I don't think. And ultimately, just trying to make sure that your strategy is good against all races, I think, would be the next thing. Is find a strategy that where the composition isn't really something that you're relying on the enemy to do a different thing. Whatever the enemy does should be separate to whatever you're doing. Like it's like, dude, you can go for Colossus, you can go for Stalkers, you go for Immortals, you know, typical stuff, or you could go for like Dark Templar, High Templar, Archon stuff. But either way, you know, my Marine tank combo is supposed to still work either way. That's the point. And you know, some people might do Marine Marauder Medevac. You know, that's more of a bio choice, or a Marine Thor for anti-air against Zerg, for example. And there's all kinds of stuff you can do. And obviously, I found a build that works for me, and you're more than welcome to try it. I totally invite you to, in fact, because, you know, Terran's got to do Terran good. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I had a super fun time doing this. And as always, guys, I'm Elwirfy, and I'll see you guys next time.